They told me right away. I didn't even ask. They said, hey, the reason that we subpoenaed you, are you ready for this?
Yeah, we've lost some talk.
Hi and welcome to Blossom Talk, the podcast. I'm Kjersti Flor, journalist, Hollywood truth teller, and your voice of reason in a town built on delusion. Each week I unpack the madness, the hypocrisy, and everything that infuriates me and inspires me about celebrity culture, especially everything going on in Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni legal feud. I did kind of promise that in this podcast I would talk about other things, and I will sometimes, but there's so much going on right now, and I feel like a lot of you guys that are following me on YouTube are just waiting to get more updates on this. So I will give you that. I will say that on Monday, I will be going to Norway to spend some time with my family and get a little bit of a break because I do need to turn off a little bit now. It's been a lot. So I won't be posting that much while I'm there. It's probably going to be for about a week or so. But if anything big happens, I will jump on and give you a little bit of an update. So stay tuned. Anyways, yesterday I spoke to one of the creators who was subpoenaed on X, the lawyer. I don't know if you saw that interview. It was like a week ago or so. And now she has an update because she's spoken to Blake Lively's legal team and they told her why they were subpoenaing her. And it's insane, you guys. So stay tuned for that interview at the end of this video. Also, there is some big news, you guys, because yesterday Blake Lively was deposed by Brian Friedman. I didn't think that was going to happen, but now I think that probably was a typo in Daily Mail because they reported, and I think people also reported, that the deposition of Blake Lively was postponed again. I didn't see that information anywhere else, but I thought, they said it, so it's probably true. Well, it wasn't true. Anyways, so yes, Blake Lively was deposed yesterday, and guess who showed up? Justin Baldoni. Can you imagine the face of Blake when she saw Justin Baldoni there? It is pretty normal for someone who's being sued like that to actually show up at a deposition. So it's not like a big surprise that all the outlets wanted it to be. But oh my God, could I give anything to be a fly on the wall during that deposition? I think for Justin Baldoni, just to sit there and have her watch him while she's lying her teeth off is a little satisfactory. I would think so. I know he's a very good person who doesn't want any harm upon anyone, but I feel like any person would enjoy that moment a little bit. And I'm sure it's also frustrating. And I'm 100% sure that she was crying and crying and crying during her deposition, because that's what these kind of people, these kind of narcissists usually do. And you have to remember, it's much harder to keep your story straight when it's not true. I just know that she's going to sit there and cry for hours because she feels so guilty now and there's no way out. And that's the real reason why she's crying in this deposition. Anyways, Fox News did a story where they were interviewing an attorney about this, what he thinks is going to happen at this deposition. And he said that they will likely do a deep dive into the videos of her joking and flirting with Baldoni and get her to admit that she was doing so, instead of purportedly feeling uncomfortable as her representation has claimed. Yeah, I'm sure he was showing that video and she had to go through every second of it. And when she exactly felt like he was, you know, pushing her too far with that kiss which lingered too long, or when he bit her lip, or was it her actually biting his lip? She's got a lot of explaining to do.
I feel so nosy.
I know.
Even my noses.
And my nose is so big.
Yes. I was hoping that we could address this. It's not too late. Just gotta shut down. We gotta call an insurance month and just deal with that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, this employment and defamation attorney that they interviewed, his name is Cameron Davalachai, and he continues to say that each of their interactions will be analyzed and questioned, and any misstatement by Lively can and will be used against her. I expect there to be multiple deposition sessions as well, and for the Baldoni team to move for additional sessions. So this will likely be the first of potentially a few depositions. So yes, more coming soon for Blake Lively. I'm sure they were there for like 7 or 8 hours yesterday. But she better buckle up for Brian Friedman. I don't know if any of this is going to leak. It could happen, but I'm sure Brian Friedman is being a bit careful. So if it doesn't come from him, maybe someone else would leak it. Who knows? I kind of hope that we will get a little peek into what happened. But of course, don't break the rules. Yesterday, I did have an interesting conversation with someone. We were talking about this whole scenario of why Ryan and Blake are doing so many stupid things. And she told me that sometimes lawyers are told by their clients, especially if they have big egos like these guys, to do things that the lawyers don't agree with. And she said that they probably didn't think it was a great idea to subpoena the content creators, but Blake and Ryan might have pushed them to do so. And that's why there wasn't such a clear plan of what to do when everyone filed motions to quash, that they would just withdraw everything. And I feel like it makes sense that Ryan Reynolds will come up with something like that, just to kind of punish people, steal their time and their money to do and to fight this, and then have absolutely no plan behind it, just to say like, F you, I'm Ryan Reynolds and I can do whatever I want. Because otherwise, why would the lawyers do something like that? Anyways, in the meantime, when this was going on, Ryan Reynolds had a story planted in USA Today where they go through his career. I mean, how random is this article the same day as Blake Lively is being deposed and all these motions to quash are hitting the docket? Ryan Reynolds, there's a story in USA Today of Ryan Reynolds' career from Green Lantern to Deadpool. Like, what's the news in this story exactly? Also, thank you, Bruce, for sending me this. He was commenting on this article in People magazine, and it says Justin Baldoni's lawyer previously called the actor a person who wants to be vindicated, and that's all that he cares about. Of course, he wants to be vindicated. But then Bruce tried to comment on in the comment section here, and his comments were always deactivated by people. And he sent me some screenshots when someone was saying that Justin Baldoni is manipulative psychopath, whatever. And then Bruce said that you must be new here. Blake lied. And People magazine retracted his comment. And they did that with several other comments as well. And none of his comments were offensive. So there's obviously someone sitting at People just removing all comments that are not pro Blake Lively. It's so ridiculous, but it's so obvious as well. As you've seen, they made, I don't know how many articles they made just to promote Blake Lively's products, even selling them. One of them they actually removed after I called them out, saying that they should be marked as an advertisement. And then all of a sudden, the article was gone. I don't know if it was because I mentioned it, but they did actually remove the article. And the fight from the content creators continues. Perez Hilton and Andy Signor filed their motions to quash. Perez Hilton did it in Las Vegas, and Andy Signor did it in Florida, meaning that there are other judges that are actually going to look at their motions to quash. That also means that Blake Lively needs to fight them in their state's courts, which is amazing. And local judges might be more sympathetic towards them, and they might not know much about this case, and they might not think that a powerful celebrity should have access to all the personal emails and everything else of private information from Perez Hilton and Andy Signor. You have to remember, they received even broader subpoenas than the rest of us. We only got subpoenaed for our social media accounts. They got subpoenaed for emails, phone calls, text messages, everything. There are also much stricter anti-SLAPP laws in Nevada and in Florida, so that also might help them. And this means more lawyers for Blake Lively, more filings and more risk, and possibly more scrutiny in the media. Also, we now know that there are 107 content creators that have been subpoenaed by Blake Lively's lawyers. What has happened to the rest of them? Where are they? But before we get into that, I wanted to thank the sponsor of this episode, Surfshark. Now, if you're anything like me, your entire life runs online. From emails to video uploads, from deep dives into Hollywood lawsuits. And some of those searches, I'd rather keep them private. That's where Surfshark comes in. Surfshark is a powerful VPN. It encrypts everything you do online and makes sure that your private information stays exactly that, private. Whether I'm working from a cafe in Spain or logging into the Wi-Fi at LAX airport, I know that my data is safe from hackers, trackers, and nosy third parties. And get this, one account works on unlimited devices. So I got my laptop, my phone, my iPad, and even my smart TV. Plus, Surfshark can also save you money on flights and booking hotels. It will allow you to virtually change your location. I've tried and it works. And if you're not totally sold, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee. Go to surfshark.com/flaw, my last name, FLAA, or use code FLAW, FLAA, at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Link in my description. Anyways, let's get back to all these content creators because I don't even know who they are. That information hasn't been made public yet. It was just from a hearing between Justin Baldoni's attorneys and the judge that someone picked it up that they were talking about 107 content creators. I did see Pop Diaries, which is another channel, a faceless channel, an anonymous channel, posted this on Instagram.
We were subpoenaed by Blake Lively. This is the scariest thing to ever happen to us on the internet. Me and my best friend run the TikTok account Pop Diaries. We made videos about pop culture just like thousands of other people, but a couple weeks ago, we found out through social media, not the courts, that Blake Lively subpoenaed TikTok should get our private information. That includes our names, IP addresses, SIM card data, contacts, bank information, even our payment methods. All because we criticized how she promoted It Ends With Us.
Yeah, let's not forget the devastation so many people have felt when they received these subpoenas. Good news is that the judge actually did agree for them to continue to file a motion to quash as Jane Doe and Jane Doe. So they're still anonymous. And of course, Blake Lively's team is going to withdraw the subpoena before even the judge can see it, because that's what they do every time now. More people just wasted time and got stressed. And as she said in this video, she even got into a car crash because she was so stressed out about this. Anyways, as I said in the beginning of this episode, I did speak to the anonymous ex-user that has been subpoenaed or was subpoenaed by Blake Lively's lawyers. And she's an attorney herself. She's an immigration lawyer. So for her, it was even a bigger shock when this happened. And I spoke to her a couple of weeks ago when it just had happened. And now she's going to share with you what actually happened and the absurd excuse they made for picking her specifically for this subpoena on X. You won't believe this.
I actually did have them meet and confer with them.
You did.
I will tell you how that went. That's why I wanted to share.
Yes.
And I'm here because I know that there's a lot of people that are been subpoenaed and they don't know exactly how to navigate this. And I'm not giving legal advice, but at least I can prepare them somewhat of what to expect and general advice that I think might be helpful to you. Like, it was hard because I'm like, they were also attorneys, and I'm going after other attorneys. And then I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm like, then I was worried about Lyman. And I was like, even if I file this motion, given how he's been ruling, no matter how good the argument's going to be, what if he still rules in favor of Blake Lively? So I'm like, okay.
You felt like that could actually affect your career as an attorney?
It didn't make me feel like it would affect my opinion as an attorney.
No, I mean like your career, that you're dragged into something like this and subpoenas.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the reasons I wanted to be anonymous, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I'm a lawyer. I don't want my opinions to be affiliated with any nonprofit or law firm. And I'm a very honest person. I say what I mean and I mean what I say. You know what I mean? And I'm very unapologetic about it. And nowadays, people are very politically correct and they want to be, it's very, you could lose your job because of social media now. Like, that's the reality that we're in, So I was like, I just want to be able to speak freely, say what I need to say without having to be worried about me being affiliated by anybody else. So that's why I wanted that anonymous account to be able to just express myself freely.
Did they understand that you were a lawyer from the get-go? Do you think that they actually knew that before they subpoenaed you, or were they a little surprised by you saying that to them?
I think they knew. Can I be very honest with you? Do not underestimate law firms, guys. Like yes, I have done national litigation. I've worked for a small period of time. It's not my main area of practice, but I've worked in those type of atmospheres where there is giant litigation firms. They are well-equipped machines. Because I remember when I worked for a civil litigation case, they had me assigned. You understand what I'm saying? They had me assigned to particular people and I would monitor their social media. They hire private investigators. When it's like lots and lots of $1 million money, like when a high stake conflicts case is involved, money matters, unfortunately, and people are willing to spend a lot of money to save their reputation. So they're willing to do a lot, pay more money behind the scenes than they are willing to pay the other party that they harmed, right? So I do think they knew. Or at the very least, I will say this. Maybe they didn't know the spiritual shift was, but once I emailed them, there's no way they didn't look up my name. They know my address now. They looked me up. They know everything. And I do think one of the things they wanted from us, remember, it was our names, our addresses, and all of that stuff, right? I wrote that email. They responded that, okay, let's do a meet and confirm. So that was a bit misleading because in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I told you that this is the only thing that I'm willing to do, a written stipulation, right? To withdraw, right? Or I'm going to file the motion. But when I got to the meeting, and mind you, when I did have this Zoom meeting, it was, and like I said, what I do want to just say is that I don't know how to explain this, but initially I felt like there was this respect in the rapport. They were being respectful, but at the same time, you have to be careful because there are technically ways during a Zoom call people can find your IP address and whatnot. And this is if they're really playing dirty, like, you know what I mean? Which I hope they are not in that level, and that wouldn't be ethical for them to do. But when I was in that meeting, first thing I noticed was there were two people, and they had immediately said not to record and not have anybody else present. So by default, they're outnumbering me, right? So for example, if I said, well, she said this, they're going to say, well, two of us said this. You get what I'm saying? So there were tricks being played. I'm not going to say that. And that's just, look, they're not representing us. That's one thing people have to know. Do not expect opposing attorneys to ever do you any favors. You have to advocate for yourself. You have to. And to be honest, I really didn't have anything to hide. You know what I mean? So I was like, I knew what was kind of happening and they didn't want me to have any other people, but I was there. So then that itself kind of got me like a little bit like, okay, I see what's happening here. And then what I thought was going to be let's negotiate the stipulations of the withdrawal became, well, we would like to ask you some voluntary questions, and this is getting juicy.
Yeah.
But let me ask you, did your attorney do a meeting confer with them?
Yeah, they
Through
did.
Zoom?
I don't know what they used. Well, I just heard that they had a meeting with them and nothing came from it. Really, they were just saying, because he wanted to know exactly what they wanted, what they were after. And then they said that they wanted to prove that I was paid by Wayfair parties.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So I'll tell you what they told me. They actually told me, which everybody else said that they never responded to them. A lot of the content creators said they asked, like, why did you subpoena us? And they actually did tell me. So let me tell you what happened. Let's share. So then what happened in the meeting was, so they were cordial. Like I said, they were nice. So that was that kind of moment where I'm just like, okay, this is an attorney talking to attorney. And there was a human moment there, for good or bad. And, but then they were being attorneys and they're always going to be Blake's attorneys. And they're like, oh, we have some voluntary questions. And one of them, they basically said that they told me right away, I didn't even ask. They said, hey, the reason that we subpoenaed you, are you ready for this? Andy Signor.
Really?
That's why they said they subpoenaed me. And then and I'm like, huh? Like I was so confused. I was like so confused.
Why?
But then it hit. he's listed as one of the names in the tag contact list.
Yeah, but so why would they subpoena you because of him?
Well, that's when they wouldn't tell, right? So then
Have
they
you
were
been on
like,
his show before?
no, I have not. I have not been to Andy's show. I don't even think Andy shouted me out ever. I don't even think he even mentioned me in his show ever once. No, no joke. I'm not lying. So that was so bizarre and weird.
Yeah, did
And
you ever
then
tweet anything or X anything? Do you say still tweet? I'm not on X. So did you X anything
don't,
about Popcorn
don't,
Planet?
don't come to X.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous world.
I know. I feel like you go down that rabbit hole and it's just like, oh, very dark. But did you ever
I'm
tweet anything that he said or something like that? Or
I mean, I literally cannot. I mean, obviously they withdrew the subpoena because they knew that there was no connection. Because I asked them, I said, "What are you?" I'm like, okay. I'm like, if Andy is your target, how are you connecting him to me? What's the relevancy of this? How are you connecting me? They didn't have an answer. They didn't have an answer. So then and then I'm just like, okay, so what are you gonna do now? Are you gonna subpoena all his million of subscribers now? Everybody who's liked him, who commented
are
on
you
his
subscribed?
video?
Are you subscribed to his channel?
I think I am, or I was, or I don't know. Like I don't even know. Like
So
that's
that
how
would
like
be the,
random it is.
oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah. And no, Andy does an amazing job. Don't like he's a great. I think everybody should be following him. His content is also amazing. But no, like never was on his show. I don't know what they're talking about, and I'm curious myself, like what because they obviously maybe not obviously that's why they withdrew the subpoena because if they actually had something, I think they would have moved forward, right?
Well, they
So
haven't moved
then
forward with anyone. And that's what I find so suspicious here.
and that's why I almost like regret what I did because I'm like, should I have done more? I don't regret it because there's no regret because technically we could still do something now, even now. And I never promised to them that I'm never going to take any action. I just said, as of now, I won't be filing anything. I gave them the same reasoning that they said. So, anyways, the second question they asked me was so it was kind of like the hypothesis that I had when I was on your show the last time. I don't know if you remember. Remember, I was joking. I was like, maybe they think I'm your bot, right? Or I'm your paid show. Like, remember, I was thinking, like, joking that maybe they think I'm working for the bigger creators. But then guess what the second question was? The second question was, has anybody been providing you sources, news about Blake Lively, like anonymous accounts or privately? Are they feeding you information about Blake Lively? And that's when I shut it down because I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, they're now just digging. It's like a fishing expedition at this point.
Sorry, I forgot to say that. That's also what they asked my attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Anonymous sources.
Mm-hmm. That's what they think is happening. So they think Wayfair parties are creating these, I think, paid shells or maybe these like, accounts that are just like feeding us this information. So my response
We're not
was,
talking
and
national security here. It feels like we're talking about
I know.
not like these like big plots. Like, oh no, it's because Blake Lively is not popular. We have to remember that. Okay, I'm so sorry I interrupted you, but I just find it when we talk about it,
No,
it sounds
can
like
you
we're
please do
talking
that
about like the government here. But no,
Can you
okay.
interrupt me more often? Because I love it when you talk. I
So,
do not
please.
think people want to hear me talk the whole time.
They do. Come on, continue. Sorry. So then, when they asked you that, you were like, "No, we're not talking about this."
We're not, but I actually said I have what's similar to the reporter's privilege, and that's it. Even if someone had, and I'm not saying anyone did, and I'm like, do you have any evidence? I'm like, I'm very open with my sources on my post. I give people credit. I'm like, can you even tell me what exclusive thing that I even posted? Because everything I try my best to highlight the creators, because you guys like you do amazing job. Like, to me, the way that I look at it is that we are all working as a team. Like, then I asked her, I was like, I need to know like what's going on. Give me a sort. What are you? Why am I here? What basis are you connecting me to Andy? What post? Tell me the post that you're questioning about me. And they didn't answer that question. All of a sudden, the partner of the firm, she kind of like, she comes in and she's like, you know what? Thank you so much. And she's like, we'll get back to you.
She interrupted it?
Yeah, because I was upset that I felt like it was turning into an interrogation. I thought I was here to negotiate the stipulation of withdrawal, but they're instead asking me, I thought they were like unwilling to just withdraw. And I thought that was what the meeting was about. So in the meeting, it really felt like, and here's something I'm being very honest about, which I think is wrong. Look, like I said, there's standards for a subpoena. You cannot just subpoena everybody. Right. So what it looks like she did, Blake Lively's law firm sadly did, they had no relevance. They could have gotten this information from the party. There wasn't a really compelling reason, and even if that was, it doesn't meet the first two prongs. They were trying to get relevance after the fact with those voluntary questions they were asking me. So that's not how it works. You don't, and why I think that's problematic is most people are not going to have that attorney or counsel, that knowledge or understanding. So there is, like, as I'm thinking about this, there's a couple of things I wanted to say. That so when that meeting ended, she was willing to withdraw, and guess what they did? They sent me an email. First, they sent me an email saying that we're gonna withdraw your account. Basically because I just answered their question that I wasn't involved. And that was enough for them. And then they sent me, then I asked them, hey, would you be willing, like, what about that stipulation that I was talking about? And I explained in the email what I would like in that, so that we are in the meeting of the minds, that if we're agreeing to this withdrawal, like, would that be something I could sign, you can sign, that we both are on the same page, we could submit it to the court. And I sent an email explaining what I would want the stipulation to include. And then they reply back, Sarah, like, okay, like, could you draft one? So that means they were willing to do one, right? So then I take my time and I draft one. And guess what? Last second, I maybe there's a power behind the partner of the firm, somebody comes in, they're like, oh, we're not going to do that at all. And then I said, okay, well, you operated in bad faith. I didn't like that. And then I just thought it was suspicious, because then they sent me an email that says, here, this is the proof that we have that we withdrew your account. And when I clicked on it, guess what it said? It was an email to Google, not to X.
Wow.
So I'm like, were they? So initially I was like, okay.
Did they think you were someone else the entire time, or?
So it's like, yeah, that was like, either you're incompetent. I shouldn't say that. I take that back. That's a little extreme. Maybe they bit on more they couldn't chew,
But I feel like this is what they've been doing the entire time. And I find it so suspicious why they're dragging everyone into it. And then they're saying that, oh, we got what we needed and no one gave them anything. So I think there is like some kind of alternative plan here, that they wanted our information. And now they have your email, your full name, and your home address. I don't know if they have yours information, but they do have that from everyone who filed a motion or that were in touch with them. So what can they do with that information now? I was talking about this. Some people are saying, it's never going to happen, but that they could go after people in their respective states, and she could file a protective order against people in their states.
I actually think that's worse for her, because Judge Lyman is actually favorable to her, but I don't think other judges will be. You know what I mean? And California, for example, has more protections for privacy than, so I actually think it won't be as favorable for her if that's what her plan is. I don't want my reputation to be harmed because you made implications that we were involved, And in the email reply, this is what she said. And I think this is going to be helpful to you. She goes that when we say that we got the information, it doesn't mean that we got information to help with the smear campaign, but it's information that would exclude you from being part of that. Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I have an email.
God.
And then she...
how would they even how can they even say that? Because they didn't get any information.
Well, that was the information.
This is so, everything is like backwards in this case. It's like they're trying to build a case around air. Like there's nothing there and they're just trying to build things around it. I mean, it's so ridiculous at this point that you're like, are these grown-ups like doing
I
this
know.
stuff. I mean,
Can I say something? I was so disappointed. I felt like I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I wasted my time. If you had no, like, you shouldn't have asked me to draft it if you did not want to agree to a stipulation. This is not enough. This notice is not sufficient, according to California law. I gave you the benefit of doubt. I'm not entertaining this conversation with you anymore. Goodbye, and I'll be filing. I was bad. And so then they emailed me back and it's like, okay, Gina, it seems like you really want that notice. So what we'll do is, because I was pissed. I was like, if that same day, because they were working on the weekend, which I thought was hilarious. I felt bad, but then I'm like, you want to know my personal opinion about them? I felt it was cordial. They were respectful to me. But at the end of the day, I think the system is what I'm more mad at, that they could do these things and get away with it more than I'm individually upset with them, if that makes sense. Because the lawyers are going to do what a lawyer's going to do. They're going to fight for and they're going to advocate for their client. They're not on our side. Our attorneys we will be on our side, right? Is it ethical? No. I still, even though I will say maybe as a human being, they're all not horrible people at Blake's law firm.
That's
really
great
trying.
to know that.
I'm really trying.
That's what I feel that they are. Because I'm like, how can they do this to people? Because what they're doing right now, they're just terrorizing people. They're harassing people every single day.
I tried.
hope
You're absolutely right.
But you know what? I hope that they feel bad about it at least. Like you're saying, maybe they're not horrible people. So at least let's hope that they feel a little bad about it.
They are human beings. They are human beings.
Yeah, but
so is
Blake is also a human being, but I don't think she has much empathy. So there are some
black hearts.
Certain people just don't have the ability to have empathy with others, and I feel like some attorneys probably are like that.
Can I tell you what I told them? I literally said it to their face. I'm like, you make us lawyers look bad, and I'm very upset about that. I said it to them.
Thank you.
I said,
thank you for
really
all
did.
of us for saying that.
They're going to have private investigators. They're going to have fake accounts, Blake accounts, and Justin Baldoni accounts. They're going to try to be this pro-Justin person on the internet, and they're going to get intel on us. I do believe that even if it was wrong intel, that why she connected me to Andy, I don't know. Maybe it could be literally out of nowhere, but maybe it was a wrong intel. A pro-Justin Baldoni pretending to be a pro-Justin who is feeding them this weird information. We just have to be mindful. And I think we are often so trusting to everybody. And we see the one thing, oh, pro-Justin Baldoni. Everybody in the pro-Justin Baldoni is great. Be mindful, use your discernment skills.
Thank you so much. I hope I see you again here soon, and then I'll follow you and we'll be in touch and everything. And have a good day. It's nighttime. It's dinner time here in Spain. But yes, have a great
enjoy
day.
your dinner.
Thank you. Thank you so much to Spiritual Shift for sharing all of this. And as you could hear, she had some good advice for you guys. If you are one of the 107, you should be careful. Don't have meetings with her team. They're going to try and trick you into doing or saying something to make you look guilty. So don't do that. Only communicate with her team via email unless you have an attorney. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all your support. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Flawsome Talk. And I'll see you in my next one. I will be posting a couple before I leave for Norway. So stay tuned for more updates this weekend.
Yeah, we flawsome talk.